A big theme here at the DNC is that they're going to go after corporate gouging, and they're going to go after corporations, whether it's in taxes, largesse, loopholes. The RNC, we heard the same thing. They're going after the elites, the two sets of rules. Let me reveal a reality to you that has to be spoken to here, okay? These are the soldiers. These are the men and the women that go back to their constituencies and their communities, and they fight. They take time from their jobs. They take time from their families. Republicans and Democrats alike, that's what they do. They need to charge these people up. They need to be able to get them on board. But there's another reality that is literally looking down on them. Greg, look at the ring of sweets, okay? This is not unique to Democrats. There is a game of money. When people talk about uniparty, we are strangled by the money reality in our politics. Those suites start at 500 grand. You think there's like a teacher group up in there? You think it's like the Cub Scouts of Columbia County, South Carolina, that's up in those boxes? Some of them are lobbies and good things. The media boxes, you think they're free? Why do you think I'm on the floor? News Nation is not a broke company. Nexstar is a massive organization. We are corporate media. We don't have one of those boxes because that's the game. You pay to play. Those boxes are filled with the same people that they say they're going to regulate. They are literally looking down on the faithful and being told, yeah, we're going to break down on them. We're going to make them pay their share. They paid $500, $700, $1 million, $1.5 million to have those seats. They get hotel suites that are probably gifted to the party. And the same thing is true with the Republican side. And they're going to take them down. They're going to change how it is. They are looking down from on high at the people who make the difference in their communities. And that is the reality of politics. And I had my producer walk around and show you those suites. Now, they're not all the same. They're not all the same. But the reality is, in 2000, they spent $300 million on presidential campaigns. 24 years later, you know what they're expected to spend? $10 billion. Do you know how much money Harris has raised in the last couple of weeks? Hundreds of millions. And that's success. A lot of it's small donor, a lot of it isn't. The most dangerous money in politics is now legal money because of Citizens United. You've got to know this. The idea that they can fight against it is almost laughable. It's almost laughable. So look and listen when you are told these things. Because I don't care what they promise you. Not here tonight, not at the RNC, not that Trump knows them, not that they don't own them. He did one of the biggest fundraisers I've ever heard of in my life out where I live. Millions of dollars a plate. That's the reality of politics.
Wow. Chris Cuomo on fire. I did not expect that. I mean, I like this Chris Cuomo. This is a new Chris Cuomo. This is not the CNN Chris Cuomo. And it makes you really wonder about his time on CNN. I mean, look, everybody's got to have their, I guess, red pill moment. Is that what we're calling it? A red pill moment where, you know, of course, he had his cushy job on CNN. His brother was governor of New York. He comes from a prominent political family. You know, he's doing what he needs to do in order to be ingratiated into the elite circles and accepted and continue his mainstream cushy corporate job. And he's still working for corporate media, but News Nation they do allow a lot more. They do allow more freedom of speech and more freedom of thought at News Nation. They are owned by Nexstar, which is the company that owns The Hill. When I was working for Rising, they own Rising. So it's still corporate media. So obviously they have their red lines that they didn't allow, like myself or Katie Halper or Brianna Joy Gray to cross. But they do allow a bit more than what what traditional corporate media does allow. And I'm curious if Chris Cuomo is going to, I'm wondering if this has crossed a line for them. This is amazing. There he is talking about the uniparty, the money reality, how these elites are looking down on the soldiers and laughing at them essentially at how they're all thinking that they're going to be the Dems saying, we're going to regulate corporations. We're going to get money out of pop. They say all of these catchy phrases that get the soldiers all riled up. Meanwhile, the people at the top, they're looking literally down on those people saying, we're the real power players here. We're the real ones who are actually controlling everything. And this needs to be said, and it needs to be said more on corporate media. So really big kudos to Chris Cuomo for actually saying it on corporate media in quite a passionate way and in a very real way. I mean, he wasn't sugarcoating it like you would think, because you could kind of imagine a conversation like this on MSNBC or CNN or Fox News where they're like, well, people want money out of politics. People want there's a lot of money that's being spent on these. They kind of do it in a real softball way. And Chris Cuomo was really passionately putting it out there for people. I like this Chris Cuomo. I mean, and I'm a big critic of the guy. He was one of the biggest pushers of the COVID lockdowns, the COVID demonization. Then suddenly he leaves CNN. He goes on to PBD. I'm not sure exactly what he does for Patrick Bet-David's Organization for Value. I'm not sure what his role is there, what Chris Cuomo's role is, but since he has joined them, I mean, hey, look, my friend Patrick has been clearly a good influence on Chris Cuomo because he is now out there speaking truth finally. When he was on PBD and he's like, it turns out I'm taking now ivermectin. I'm doing this. And they were demonizing it he was demonizing it for a long time. Oh, what's going on? And now, he's like a couple of years behind, 3-4 years behind the rest of us, but he's arrived. And when somebody does arrive, we should accept them and embrace that because that is the point, right? We want people to change their minds. People are allowed to have bad opinions and they're allowed to change those bad opinions. That's the point of talking about things online, of having the debates, of having these shows where we speak the truth. And the point is to bring the people over who are not realizing the truth, not realizing reality, who are stuck in corporate media talking points. We want them to come over to the true side, the accurate side, the real side, the side that most of us are on, actually, even though corporate media tries to gaslight us into believing that we're in the minority. Truth is independent thinkers are in the majority. So when somebody does make that crossover, we should embrace them. I'm still going to give him a very hard time over his role during the pandemic because it was devastating for people. People lost their jobs. People lost their families. People lost their positions in society. People lost a lot. People lost their lives. People became depressed. There was a whole host of very, very awful things that happened during the COVID pandemic, and Chris Cuomo was one of the biggest pushers of it. So I'm always going to be critical of him for that. And I think he should come out and actually apologize for his role in that. And maybe he will get to that point. It sounds like he's kind of getting there. So kudos to him, though, for actually calling out the big corporate interests at the DNC. He's standing there amongst his own, the group that has been his own. His brother was, and his father, they were all Democrats, prominent Democrat political family. And there he is at the DNC being like, it's all a sham, folks. The money rules everything. It's all a sham. So kudos to Chris Cuomo. Unbelievable. Hey guys, this was just a clip of a longer show. Catch the full show by going to KimIversonShow.com. It is free. It airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. You could go back now and watch this full interview. I highly recommend it. Again, go to KimIversonShow.com. Thank you so much for watching.